A couple weeks ago, I had a dream, and I attended this event, and I had a spiritual death. And I was very alive. In fact, I was more alive than ever before. I felt kind of like a god, actually. But I went to this warehouse, and it was filled with things, and I was able to take physical things out of this warehouse, shoot them through my phone, and send them into other people's realities. And they were able to manifest the reality they wanted a lot quicker. Well, in that same vision, as I was coming out of it and starting to wake up, my phone vibrated next to me, and I thought I was awake, but it was another part of the vision where it had a man's face and it said, "Call me." Well, I ended up contacting him the next day, and this was a man that the universe had been linking me to several times. And I just had never been able to connect with him. And so I finally reached out, and we finally connected, and I ended up going to that spiritual retreat he was holding. But what was fascinating is when I walked in, I locked eyes with a woman, and we started talking, and she felt very connected to me, and she felt like she was supposed to tell me something, and she told me about a book that she found in a warehouse. And that book, the fact that she found it, and she said it was the biggest warehouse she had ever seen, and that's what I envisioned in my dream. And the book was written in 1890. Well, I felt really drawn to it, so I started reading the book, and I was floored because the way the woman talked was how I talk. She talks about thought forms and astral projection and manifestation and all these different theories and concepts and philosophies that I play with all the time. And I'm like, how the fuck did this woman know this back in 1890? It actually blew my mind so much. I was like, why aren't we more advanced as a civilization if she had this information way back then? And so what was even more trippy was the book was teaching how to take manifestation or things from the astral world and manifest them into the physical world. Like pull it, for instance, she mentioned that this picture, she says, if there's something in the physical world, there's an astral picture 4 feet from it. You can actually pull the astral into the physical. That even this picture behind me has a spiritual body, and the book is talking about man's the 7 principles of man, or the 7 basically the different bodies, spiritual bodies of a man. So you have she goes into great detail about all the different bodies of the spiritual body, the physical body, and then all the other astral bodies and stuff like that. So this is where it gets even crazier. So I go into the retreat and into the spiritual experience where I meet Creator, and that's beautiful, but that's another story. But he told me certain things, and one of those things he told me, and he kept showing me, is that I helped liberate India, and I helped form like the concepts of India, and he talked about, and if I had to refer to God in any religious form, she felt more like the Hindu gods, the dark and the light. And I'm not really into any religion, and neither was she, the author of that book. Like, she was very against religion. But it was just the feel that I got for it. In fact, Creator actually told me to put a little thing on me. That's why I honored myself with this picture, because my husband about lost his shit when he thought about me doing that. But it was to represent my marriage to creation. Anyways, so when I went through that experience, he told me that's kind of what I did and how I was, and it went into a lot of beautiful things. But what was really interesting is I left and I kind of forgot about the book. And my friend sent me a copy today, like just pictures, like, look what I got. And I was like, oh my gosh, you bought it. And this weird feeling came to me. It was not feeling, this thought. It was like a thought and feeling. It goes, what if you could visit yourself from the past and the future? Wouldn't you do that through a book? And I was like, oh my gosh, because I didn't think that, because I just thought this woman was a genius back in the 1800s. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if I was her in past life? That's why we talk about the same stuff. And so I start Googling her, and she's very much like me. She's a rebel. She's outspoken. She's a writer. She's an author. She was way before her time. And just the information, like, even she published a book on birth control, and most people don't know this, but I've done extensive studies on this, because back in the olden days, people used to have 15 abortions. People that they believed birth control was evil, but they didn't understand people were actually having 15 abortions because they had no way to provide for these children. And this is why our world has so many unwanted children, because people are not practicing safe sex. In fact, if people actually knew how to practice tantra, there wouldn't be unwanted children, because the man never actually comes in the woman until he actually wants to conceive. So there's just like so much information that humans are not aware of. And anyways, so just reading her bio just made me laugh, because she and I are so much alike and so similar. And when I was in my vision, God kept saying something to me. He kept saying, this is an illusion. There's no such thing as time. And he kept showing me all these dimensions, and some of them are so beautiful. Like, I didn't want to come back to Earth. Like, Earth was like, the human, it was just like, oh my gosh, it was like a black and white movie. It's like, why would I come back? This is so boring. But it was just, it was hard to explain, but there wasn't such thing, like, this wasn't real. It was like a matrix. It was like a learning center. So the thought, and he was even showing me like past lives were an illusion in a way. And it just like dawned on me, like today, I was like, holy shit, what if she and I are linked? Like a past life, but it's happening simultaneously. Like, we have one soul, and there's an oversoul that has multiple lifetimes happening simultaneously, and she's in one of them and I'm here, but because we're linked and I've awoken in this dimension and in this time frame, and I'm learning all these spiritual gifts or spiritual stuff that I've helped her awaken back in the 1800s, because she's so out of her time. And if that's possible, that means there's other me's out there simultaneously living through other time frames. What if we have the potential, by awakening and lifting our frequency and vibration, we're actually able to do this in other times? So it's like going through time, because there's no such thing as time. There's a movie, it's called The One, where he goes into each dimension and he kills himself to try to get all the power. What if it's kind of like that? We have a one in all of these other time frames, but what if there's not one? What if there's multiples? What if there's no limit? It's pretty kind of insane, but there's this theory that we're all connected. What if we all are connected? And as we rise, we're actually, and heal ourselves, we're actually rising and lifting others. Because I know, hi sweetheart, I know by rising in this lifetime and her and that lifetime, we're connected, and she made massive changes. Hi. It's a video. Yeah, I'm almost done. Okay. What if because we're connected and healing, we're actually healing multiple people simultaneously, like thousands. Like, she changed all of India. So it's just some really cool thoughts of, I wonder, what if? And something I just want to share with you guys today. Hope you enjoyed, and hope you have a great day.